talk to you about a little today is the various chord recognition modes that the SD90 has to offer. So let me first put this on master keyboard, and I'll talk about the differences between the accordion mode and the keyboard mode for those that are interested. Okay, so the way you get to the chord recognition parameter is from the style menu, you go into view, and then you press chords. And in the bottom left, it says mode, and there is where you can determine how you want the chord recognition to operate. So let's see. Let's start with easy one. So you'll see here's the chords. Right? Now, if I play one note, what you'll see is that the chord will change with a single note, but it will limit the chordal progression to the root only, not have the third or the fifth included in it. If I add two notes to this chord recognition mode, let's say for example C, and then I hit a minor, I'll have the minor interval, but it will miss the fifth, or the note that I'm playing, right? And also, when I release the note, then what happens is the chord adjusts based on what I have. So as you can see here, when I release the minor, it goes back to a root chord with no third and no fifth. Second mode is, let's go ahead and do easy 2. So easy 2 works in a similar fashion, except this time, when I play a chord, and I play a minor with two notes, when I release that E flat, the minor will persist. So you see that? So the minor stays, right? Now if I change, it resets. But again, if I play a major chord, and then I let the chord, the third go, it remains. So that chord will persist throughout. And what we do is what we call that is the chord is retained in memory. So several of the functional modes operate with one of those two fashions, where when you release the note, the chord adjusts, or you can release a note of the chord and the chord will remain as though it was pressed. And then let's see here, and then we have easy 3, and let's take a look at this one. So now what this one does is all of the single notes will be majors. So you see I'm playing a D major with an E, an E major with a single note, F major, G major, and I can add the quality by, of course, playing two notes. There's the C minor, but when I release it, it will go back to whatever the major note is. See that? Okay, so each of those modes, easy 1, easy 2, and easy 3, have the ability to drive the arranger with single notes. The other two modes that exist, which are my preference modes, are finger 1 and finger 2. And what finger 1 does is that you must play the entire chord for it to be recognized. So if I play, for example, a C7, there's the 7th. Now when I release that 7, it's going to drop back to a C major. See that? So it plays exactly whatever notes you're playing. Here I've added the B, and you can see that it's a C major 7. Okay? The finger 2 mode works in the same manner, except now, when you release it, it will maintain that particular chord. So if I play a C7 and I release the B flat, C7 will continue until I play another note to modify the chord. See that? So this actually, to me, is the nicest way to operate. This is the finger 2 mode, because that chord now is in memory, and when I release notes until I press new notes, that chord will persist. Now, what I want to point out is that, so this is the case for when you're using the master keyboard mode, you can adjust the various detections. Now, if you happen to be an accordion player, and let's talk about how an accordion works for a second. So an accordion, when you press a chord button on the left hand, in most cases it plays 3 notes, right? It plays the root, the third, and the seventh. And so that's enough notes when you use, if you were to use a finger 1 or finger 2 mode to have it do the chord recognition. In the case of some of the more advanced digital accordions, such as the Roland, there's also an option on the accordion to transmit all 4 notes that you play. So that would be the first, the third, the fifth, and the seventh in all cases. And I obviously use that mode with my digital accordion. But for an accordion player, those modes here are not in effect. So if you're an accordion player and you try to go through these, none of them will have any effect because the accordions are locked on finger 2. So it's using, in my opinion, the best and most advanced chord recognition system. But remember, an accordion you won't be able to necessarily, under normal use, release the third or release the seventh until you change the entire chord sequence. Now that isn't true if you're going to play the accordion and use the basses in addition to the chords on the left hand. But anyways, the key to remember here is that for an accordion player, the finger mode or easy modes have no effect and serve no purpose. They only serve a purpose for the standard master keyboard or keyboard player. So I hope some of that is helpful and interesting and explains the use of the chord recognition modes that are found on the SD90.